Folks, and welcome to RRTV on this nice Thursday night. We're here tonight to cover the Star Mazda Australian Championship from Brands Hatch. So let's have a quick look at the rules before we get into the track information. Of course, they've got to drive a Star Mazda. That's the first rule. Second is they'll be using a fixed setup, which means all drivers will be using the same setup. Tonight they'll be using the high downforce setup, and they'll be limited to 17.1 litres, which basically means they're going to have to make a pit stop, which makes it all the more exciting for us. They'll have a standing start, and they'll have one fast repair, which means if they have any damage and they come into the pits, it'll be fixed back to brand new. After that, they'll have to pay the cost for any repairs, and sometimes their car may not be able to be fixed. So as I said earlier, a fuel stop will be required. It's up to the drivers whether they will take tyres or not. And the pit window will be after 2 racing laps, or as in from the start of the 3rd lap. Incident limit is 35. So for those of you who are new to watching iRacing events, if they go off the track, that counts as 1 incident point. If they have an accident, it generally counts for, I think it's 4 incident points, and if they spin out, that it normally counts for 2 incident points. So as they run into difficulty, they will accrue these incident points. Okay, so let's have a quick look at Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is in England, track length of 3.70 kilometres, quite a tricky track. It's got a lot of undulations, a lot of blind corners, and a lot of those corners are quite fast as well, as you'll see when we do the lap video in a moment. So having a look at this, we've got 9 corners. They'll be coming down into Paddock Hill Bend, which will drop away, and they'll go down a hill and up a hill into corner 2, which is Druid's Hairpin. That's our first passing opportunity. The next one will be when they drop down through Graham Hill Bend. They may be able to pass through there and up through Surtees, corner 4. They get a nice long straight and drop down Hawthorns Hill. So if they get a good draft there, that'll set them up for a possible pass going into Hawthorns. Now, Hawthorns is the fastest corner on the circuit, and it's going to take both drivers to cooperate if they go through there side by side. In fact, I'd say it would take a brave man to go through there side by side. They come up to our first blind corner, which is Westfield. It's not too bad. They can see the apex. It's just the exit that's partially obscured. Corner 7, however, Sheen Curve, when they come into that, they can't even see the apex, so they're going to have to rely on memory on when they turn in. It's a very tricky corner. Finally, down to turn 8, left-hander into Stirling's, and then back up to turn 9, Clark Curve. So they're going to be lapping around here, probably in around about the 1 minute 22, 28 laps. We can expect them to complete this race in approximately 40 minutes from when they start. So what we'll do is we'll take you for a lap around Brands Hatch. Sorry folks, I'll just cue that up, a bit of a glitch. Hi there folks, welcome to Brands Hatch. We're currently in the Redback Racing Star Mazda here. Brands Hatch is basically around about 3.7 kilometres in length, and it's quite a tricky undulating track. The guys will be lapping around here in the 122, 123s. Before we get started on this lap around here, a bit about the Star Mazda. It's a carbon fibre tub based on around like open wheeler. It's got a 240 horsepower rotary engine backed up with a 6-speed sequential box, so it's quite a fast and nimble little car. So anyway, let's do a lap. It's just coming up onto the straight now. Start finish line right here.
3 minute 8.70.
Tricky first corner. It's pretty blind and drops away, and into another blind hairpin here. There's quite a few blind corners around here. Up to third. Take it wide out here. Up to fourth. Again, hard to spot the exit point on that corner. Now we're coming up to the fastest corner of the track. They'll be taking this in about 5th gear. I took that quite a bit slower than they were. 4th gear, another blind corner cut to the inside, floated out wide. Now this corner up here is really tricky because you can't even see the apex. You just got to turn in based on muscle memory. Down to third. Yep. Back to fourth through the final corner. Drops away. Let it float out a little bit and then back on to the main straight.
1 minute 26.441.
So that was a pretty bad lap. 126, but it's pretty hard to drive and talk at the same time. But as I said, 4 seconds off the pace, but it gives you an idea how quick these little cars are around these tracks. Great fun to drive, and hopefully you'll enjoy the broadcast tonight. So hope you enjoy the race. So there you go, folks. That was a lap around Brands Hatch. I did that earlier today. So before we get into the qualifying results, I'd like to introduce Brant Tucker and Chris Bean. Welcome, guys. What's your thoughts on tonight's race, and especially Brands Hatch?
From what I've read on the forums, it's shaping up to be a really good series. Close racing with pit strategies playing the ultimate part of it. As for Brands Hatch, it's a difficult track. I haven't run in Star Mazda myself, but yeah, judging from the amount of off tracks the guys are having, it's very, very difficult, especially in that first corner going downhill.
Yeah, so that's going to play a bit of a part tonight with 35 incident points. Chris, do you think some of these guys will run into trouble with incident points tonight?
It's going to be hard to tell. I find the track very high on incident points. It's just got that natural part. It's just natural part of the track. It'd be very interesting to see how the top guys go and how they will battle each other on the track, and how that will actually show any incidents from that. I think 35 incidents is probably it's probably going to be it's a good size. It's a good limit. You've got 28 laps around here, so I mean, if you can do less than 1 incident per lap, you're going to be absolutely fine. So fingers crossed, everyone can keep it together and have a great race.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's hope they can keep it together and have a great race. So Chris, you've had a bit of experience in here. So who do you think are the guys we should be looking out for tonight? The front runners, basically.
Yeah, well, I've only had one race in this series. I jumped in last week for a bit of fun and surprised myself with a bit of pace. I think the fast guys, you're going to see Dylan Shepherd definitely as probably one of the quickest guys out of here. You're probably going to see the likes of all the G&T racing guys like Andrew Gaines, Trent Thomas, Craig Jones really battle out for that for that win and even the last of the podium spots. But one person I'd like to put out there is Peter Jolly. He's going to be one that's going to show a bit of pace through here, and wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be battling for top honours in there.
Yeah, Brent, I think Paul Jolly's one of your drivers, isn't he?
Yeah, Peter's from All Star Motorsports. I've run with him a fair bit in the official races, and yeah, he is a very pacey guy in the Star Mazda, so definitely expect him to be up there.
Fantastic. Tonight's driving steward is Matt Wilkins. Welcome to the commentary box, Matt. Is there anything you want to tell us about the rules of Star Mazda?
Oh, hey guys. Not really too much tonight because we're not really planning on introducing a live racing steward until probably next season. We're having post-race penalties, so I'm just going to be watching for any incidents and I'll just note them down on my piece of paper here next to me. But other than that, everyone's got the compulsory pit stop to do after lap 3 or later in between 3 and 27. And tyres are optional and fuel is required for that, so nothing really I'm watching tonight other than just noting down any incidents that take place.
Okay, so Chris, I'm not sure how much tyre wear these cars take. Do you think the guys are going to need tyres in this race, or do you think they can just get to the end with the tyres they start with?
Honestly, I think they'll be able to do the whole race with the set of tyres that they start with. It should be just a splash and go in the pit lane. My calculations, you probably need about 4 to 5 litres just to finish the race. And if you take tyres, it's probably going to add another 20-25 seconds to your pit stops. So you'll probably you won't gain that back throughout the 28 laps in this race.
Okay, no worries. So what we'll do, guys, we've got 1 more minute to go. So we'll go through our top 10 qualifiers. At the moment, we've got Dylan Shepherd out in front for One Performance Racing, followed by Trent Thomas from Gaines Thomas Racing and Craig Jones, again, Gaines Thomas Racing. Andrew Gaines is currently qualified in 4th position, followed by Timothy Janke, I hope I pronounced that right, Josh Anderson, Peter Jolie for All Star Motorsports, Brendan Howe, Martin Kramers is 9th, 10th is Matt Burgess, 11th is Chris Johnston, 4th is Paul Nelson, 12th is Paul Nelson, 13th Stan Peterson, 14th Rick Burt, 15th Andy O'Brien, 16th Adam Harden, 17th Nathan Leggy, 18th is Lachlan Wyatt, and that pretty much, and Andrew Whelan, I think, rounds out our top 20. So, Chris, with this sort of racing, is it a bit like the skippies? I guess, you know, they've got to stay out of trouble, not rub wheels, because it could send them over. But how fragile are these cars if they do have a bit of a collision?
Yeah, I haven't had enough seat time to really give you a proper answer. But just from what I've been doing in practice sessions, if you they can handle a little bit of biff, but if you have a decent enough hit, you will bend a couple of wishbones and tyres looking the wrong way, and you'll probably lose a bit of a front wing or rear wing, and that's going to hurt the car definitely. So ideally, I suppose with any open wheeler, stay out of trouble, you'll be right.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a fairly good field. We've got a fairly good field. Looks like we've got about 21 starters, which is a pretty strong field for open wheelers, and it's fantastic to see. So it'll be interesting to see how they take the first couple of corners here. Hopefully they'll all get out through there in one piece, but folks, we'll try and cover that as the race progresses, and we'll let you know how it goes. So at the moment, guys, the race steward is currently briefing the drivers, and then we'll be ready to grid for the race.
Yeah, Bernie, one thing that these drivers will probably need to really keep in their mind is that first lap. The tyres are cold. A lot of testosterone, I suppose, being thrown around. Sorry, girls, if you don't have any of that. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting first lap. Cold tyres and everyone trying to vie for a great position. They just need to keep out of trouble.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In my years of racing, I've come across a few girls that I think's had a fair bit of testosterone, and hopefully we'll see. Hopefully we'll see more women take up this sim racing. We've got a few out there, but it'd be great to see a lot more of them participate in this great esport. Okay, guys, so we're just waiting for the field to grid up at the moment, and then the race will get underway very shortly. So having a look at our grid, we won't have a look at our grid because my overlays are messed up yet again, but we went through the results a bit earlier. So as they progress through the first lap, I'll update you at that point. This is the part, Chris, as a driver, I always get nervous, you know, when you're gridding up and you're watching that countdown from a minute or a minute and a half, wondering, especially around Brands Hatch, how the heck am I going to get it through the first corner?
I totally agree with you. I tell you what, I find butterflies in my tummy when you are able to actually engage gear and just waiting for those lights to turn off.
Yeah, and they've all engaged gear into the first corner. Goes Dylan Shepherd taking the lead. At the moment it looks like we've got a nice clean start as they come up into Druid's hairpin. So far, Chris, the field looks like it's got through pretty cleanly, mate.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of contact in the back of the field there at turn 2, but generally that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, it does look very good. So we've got Dylan Shepherd at the moment. He's got a 2 car lengths lead over Trent Thomas, and then followed by Trent is Lachlan Wyatt at the moment. Andrew Gaines is finding himself in 4th position, and rounding out our top 5 is Stan Peterson.
Yeah, Bernie, I'm not sure if that's your overlays playing up there, but I'm not seeing the same. I'm seeing who we got: Dylan leading, followed by Trent, Craig, Josh, and Andrew following up in 5th place.
Okay, it's definitely my overlays playing up then. They should clear themselves after we finish this first lap, and then we should get accurate results hopefully till the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely, and Dylan obviously passes the line here in 1st place. I'll tell you what, Trent's pretty close behind. Trent was last week's winner. I think Dylan ran into a little bit of trouble last week at Suzuka. So Trent's going to be on his toes. You've got Craig following behind in 3rd place, and Josh Anderson on his toes as well. Andrew Gaines following up in 5th place, with Timothy Janke, Peter Jolly, Brendan Howe, Matt Burgess, and Paul Nelson rounding out the top 10.
It's fantastic, and as the field goes through, you can see we're currently looking at 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment, turning into quite a good little battle here. Who's there? Timothy Janke, Peter Jolie and Brendan Howe at the moment, folks. So we'll keep an eye on this as it progresses. So having a look at the times, Dylan Shepherd, his first lap was a 127.1. Trent Thomas second with a 127.6. So straight out of the gate, Dylan Shepherd, Chris, has pulled out half a second, and now he's topped that with a 120.96.
Yeah, it's freakishly fast, isn't it? Really. Obviously, that first lap is obviously taking into account starting off the line, whereas the second lap is really obviously a rolling lap. Trent still followed up with a 20.9 as well, so he's not shying away at all. Craig Jones in third actually followed up with a 20.9. Josh Anderson 20.7 on that second lap.
Wow, that's the fastest lap of the race at the moment, so we'll have to keep an eye on Josh as he see if he can catch the other two, which so far is about 2 seconds down, so something must have happened to Josh in the first lap.
Yeah, and Craig Jones has just had a bit of an off too. He's fallen into the clutches of Timothy Janke now. He's just coming up into that. I don't know what the corner's called. Sorry, but it was a long left-hander there in the middle of the lap. So he's now finding himself in what's that, 5th place.
We just tried to catch a replay of that, folks, but my overlays weren't quite up to date. But yeah, he's finding himself in 5th and some 4.5 seconds down at the moment. Dylan Shepherd at the moment has now stretched that lead out to 0.7 of a second over Trent Thomas. And let's have a look at Josh Anderson. He's currently 3rd. He's still putting in the fastest lap times, Chris, but he's got over 2 seconds to pull in. Do you think with 24 laps, do you think that's something he can close that gap, or do you think it's getting too far for him now?
Oh, definitely. That's plenty of time to make up 2 seconds, mate. You've got to take into account these guys have to take a pit stop. You have to account that there is a little bit of draft on those straights. So while as long as Trent and Dylan might be battling within that second gap there, Josh has got clean air and he's ready to pounce, I suppose.
Yeah, one of the drivers that have had some trouble in the opening laps, and he's come in as soon as he could, is Lachlan Wyatt has already pitted with a 40.5. I'm assuming, Chris, that is an unplanned stop. It's very early to be stopping at this stage.
You have to obviously have the compulsory first 2 laps. That is part of the rules. You must pit after 2 completed laps, and you must complete that pit stop before the last lap. So it is on schedule, I suppose. But in terms of strategy, because these guys aren't taking tyres, they only need to splash and dash for fuel. The strategy probably doesn't matter too much. It's going to be track position that people will choose to make that pit stop. If you're in a battle pack and you're finding you are a quite faster car, but you can't actually get past these guys, do your pit stop now, and you'll probably be able to actually gain a little bit of time in free air. You'll probably find the front runners will hold off doing a pit stop, whereas you'll find the back guys might just take that chance, take that opportunity to actually get their pit stop done and dusted, and then they'll be able to just continue on throughout the whole race without that need. In fact, you can see a couple of guys diving into the pits now, so we're only on lap 5. I think it's a good strategy for some of these back runners.
Yeah, definitely. We just had Brendan Howe run wide, as the viewers could see on the replay. I'm not sure what corner that was. It was after Sheen corner, the next corner there. But he's continuing. He was lucky to keep that straight, Chris.
Or definitely, he was lucky to keep that on the black stuff, or get it back on the black stuff. Actually, while we were talking there, we saw Chris Johnson and Paul Nelson. those two guys were battling basically bumper to bumper, and they've both pitted at the same time. So pretty much what I was saying before, they'll probably take that opportunity to get that pit stop out the way without battling anyone. And in this case, they've both jumped into the pits at the same time. So you'll actually see Chris Johnson actually got probably another second, 1.5 second gap now between himself and Paul. So it'd be good to see how these two run the end of their race.
Yeah, definitely. We just had a look at Martin Kramer, currently in 10th. He's having a shocker. He lost it coming up onto the main back straight there, and he was very lucky he didn't get collected. But having a look at the pit stops at the moment, you're right. Chris Johnston did 14.2 seconds. The fastest pit time, as we watch Martin Kramer now coming into the pits for his stop, the fastest time was 11.5 seconds by Adam Harden. So that's a lightning. He's caught 3 seconds just in that pit stop. Lachlan Wyatt, I think, is in trouble. He has gone down a lap, but he continues to circulate.
Yeah, okay, maybe he's had a bit of an off somewhere that I wasn't aware of. Yes, he's falling into the clutches of getting lapped now. So we'll see how his race goes on. Hopefully, it doesn't impede any of the front runners, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. He did have a off on the first lap, so we'll see if we can catch that replay to see exactly what happened to Lachlan.
Yeah, I'm just going back through now just to see if I could see anything, and looks like the start was not too bad. Maybe he was in that bit of kerfuffle at turn 2 that I was mentioning at the start of the race. Oh yes, he did. He got collected twice. So he's probably bent a bit of steering, and he looks like he's got his front wing there. But yeah, if you can't steer these cars, it's not going to help, definitely.
Yeah, as we have a look at the replay of him limping into the pits back then. Unfortunately, we missed that incident, but his car did look quite damaged. So I'd say that that fast repair that would have come in very useful for him at that stage of the race.
Yes, well, hopefully that did work, and he's able to regather. So just looking at the front runners, Brad Thomas has actually taken half a second out of Dylan Shepherd's lead. So he's on it. He's on really hard now. Andrew Gaines and Craig Jones 2.7 and 4.7 seconds behind, and Timothy Janke rounding out the top 5 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, and we've just had a message come up to the commentary box that that one problem Lachlan is experiencing out there is internet connection issues. So if you see him blinking, folks, that basically means his internet is having trouble, and that can affect a driver's ability to concentrate quite a lot. So we'll keep an eye on that, folks, and see, hopefully they will improve for him. So going through our top 10, we've got Dylan Shepherd at the moment out in front. He's still 0.7 of a second in front of Trent Thomas. Andrew Gaines now has slipped to 2.6 seconds down. Craig Jones in fourth is 5.1 seconds down. Timothy Janke is 5.6 seconds. Sixth is, as they change around, sorry folks. Sixth is B. Howe. Seventh, M. Burgess. Eighth, Peter Jolly for All-Star Motorsports. Ninth, A. O'Brien, and R. Burt rounds out our top 10.
We've actually got a really good battle here between Brendan Howe and Matt Burgess, vying for that 6th place position, and Peter Jolly is actually not too far behind him. So whilst those two guys continue to battle and put each other under pressure, Peter Jolly is just going to be licking his lips.
Yeah, definitely, and we've had an incident, folks. We're going to try and catch it between Nathan Leggy has had an incident.
Yeah, I can see he's in his pit stall, so he's probably getting a little bit of repair.
That's right. We'll have a look at that now, folks.
Yes, he's actually he's come around the last bend and a little bit of understeer, a little bit of oversteer, and unfortunately he's crashed into the pit wall. So he's getting a tow. Hopefully he gets a quick repair and gets back out there, but that's going to really hurt his race chances here. No, a tow probably takes him probably about 2 minutes or so. So that's going to be that's going to hurt his race.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like when he came into that final corner, he already had heavy rear wing damage and side pod damage, which I think is why that car just did not steer into that last turn. He must have had an off further back. In fact, I can see he did have an off further back, so we'll have a quick look at that, folks.
And while we're looking at that, just want to report that Dylan Shepherd's losing his lead to Trent Thomas by about a tenth a second. So, we might see these guys start to jump into the pits and take their compulsory stop. But at the moment, it's game on with for the lead here.
Definitely, and we'll jump on with Trent Thomas now, folks, and we'll do a lap around Brands Hatch. As you can see him chasing Dylan Shepherd down, only 0.3 of a second. So crank your sound up and enjoy the ride. So there you go, folks. That was a lap around with Trent Thomas, and I tell you what, he has caught Dylan now. He's 0.28 of a second at the moment, Chris. So he's definitely coming in.
Yeah, I think the pressures might be getting to Dylan here. I don't know what the best thing to do here is. Maybe try and fend him off, or jump in the pits and get that stop out the way. 0.283 behind. I don't know if you want to get any closer than that. Unless you're going to overtake him, you probably want to just sit on his ass and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. We've also just had word that Joshua Anderson has had a spin before the long straight. So we'll see if we can catch that replay, folks.
I think you'll find Josh has already had his pit stop as well, so hopefully he can bring that back and see what happens, eh?
Definitely, it looks like he kept it on track, which is a good thing. And we're having a look at his car now. There's definitely no damage, so I'd say it was just a bit of a spin, and he's continued on undamaged, which is great to hear.
Car number 753 has just pulled into the pit lane and is actually now exiting his pit box. So first the pit stop's starting to come into play here, with a few other cars entering now.
Yeah, definitely, Brent. That was Timothy Janke. He stopped with a 20.7, but at the moment the fastest stop is still 11.5 seconds of Adam Harden. As we watch the lead, gee, these two are going at it out front here, Chris.
This is a great battle. This is what it's all about. And how great do these cars sound when they're on song? These little rotary engines, they sound fantastic. I'll tell you what, these two are really putting on a show right now.
Definitely. Yeah, those rotaries definitely have a unique tone to them, that's for sure.
And what's actually happening here, guys, is these two front guys are really pushing as hard as they can. And what it's doing is actually allowing Andrew Gaines in third place to gain a little bit of time on these guys. In fact, the last lap he did was a 120.4. These front guys are only running a 120.7. So he's already chopped 0.3 of a second out of that last lap. And he's had to do nothing. He's just having to sit there and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, that's right. He gets that toe and you know, just tucks in there. But we just had news that Lachlan Wyatt's stay has gone bad to worse. Unfortunately, Lachlan has retired from the race on the 10th lap. So bad luck, Lachlan, on that. And we hope to see you next round, mate.
It's always sad to see a retirement. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely is. As our leader, Dylan Shepherd, now ducks into the pits and Trent Thomas continues to go around. I tell you what, Dylan left that pretty late till he jumped in. I think he was making sure Trent didn't follow him. As Trent's coming up now on the back marker, who gets out of his way nicely.
Yeah, that's good awareness there from Nathan to let these quicker guys through. We already know that Nathan's race has been compromised with a bit of an accident earlier, so it's good racecraft. In fact, you'd probably see Andrew here coming up on Nathan, and you'd probably hope that he gives him that room to let him by.
Yeah, generally the leader has the most difficulty if the drivers aren't using their F3 box to keep an eye on it. But that back marker would be now well aware that he is being lapped, and I'm sure he'll get out of the way of Andrew.
Yeah, something I've just noticed actually with Trent's lap, without following Dylan's lines there, is this lap's been a little ragged. I'd just like to see what he does across the line in terms of lap time, but this might help Dylan out here in terms of keeping that first place. In fact, yeah, Trent's only done a 21.2, so he's about 0.4 of a second off his race time there, just without following. And in fact, he's just had a little spin coming into turn 2, so he's without following that car, he's not struggling, but he's definitely lost his way a bit.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like without having Dylan in front of him, he's just having difficulty spotting his brake markers, and he's probably used Dylan as a bit of a reference there. But that does play into Dylan's hands. He did a 14.9 and he's currently in 6th. And we'll see if Trent comes in this time round. We're coming up to the end of lap 16, folks, so we're just over halfway.
And fortunately, one of the fast guys we were talking about before, Peter Jolly, he's had a pretty big off. I'm just watching the replay there. Saw his car in pit lane, and yeah, it was well and truly damaged, unfortunately, for Peter. Yeah, it's just like he's just run wide, dropped a wheel off, and hit the barrier at the second and final corner.
Yeah, that's a real shame for the All-Stars Motorsports driver as we have a look there. Yeah, quite a few drivers. Oh boy, did he hit that hard. You're right, Brant. He really did hit hard, didn't he, mate?
Yeah, unfortunate, but these things happen, especially in open wheelers. And the Star Mazda especially, it's very, very prone to wheel spin, so being on the grass doesn't help in any car, but especially a car that's prone to wheel spin. So, but I'm sure Pete will come back bigger and stronger next week, so just got to look forward to that.
That's right. Peter, he's come out in 17th spot. He's used his quick repair, so he's still in the race. But yeah, that wouldn't have been what he's looking for, especially crashing out like that, but it's good for the sponsors, unmetered servers, getting a bit of TV time, you know, so that's one thing.
Yeah, no, airtime has been something they've been getting a lot of lately, so yeah, but Pete will continue to truck along. He won't give up easily. Just unfortunate that he's a lap down, but Chris has slowly started to crawl up the order. He started in 11th and he's in 8th position at the moment, so yeah, he's trucking along nicely.
Yeah. As we have a look at Trent Thomas, our leader, is going around once again, folks. So I tell you what, Chris, he's leaving his pit stop pretty late.
Yes, well, these guys still have 8 laps to go, so before they need to do their pit stops. So a little bit of time there, but at the moment, Trent's losing a little bit of time to Andrew. In fact, they're less than a second gap between these two now. But one little battle that I want to point out is between Paul Nelson and Chris Johnson. These guys are neck and neck. They are on each other's bumpers and they are trading places like no other. It's a great little battle back here.
Yeah, definitely. They're really trading punches. And having a look at the leader, Trent Thomas, Andrew Gaines has pulled over 2 seconds in about 2 laps on him, so he's definitely struggling out there. Whether he hasn't had enough time on the track, I'm not sure, but he's definitely struggling without a car for him to follow.
Yeah, tyres may also be a part of that issue too, Bernie, with pushing so hard and battling those few laps with Dylan. He may have pushed those tyres just that little bit too far on that little Mazda, but it's certainly closing up and there's battles all over the place.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like I'm just trying to hang on a minute. My overlays have gone weird again.
We've got a bit of a battle pack starting to emerge here behind Chris Johnson and Paul Nelson. We've got Martin Creamers and Timothy Janke, all basically within 2 seconds of the whole pack. So this is a battle for, correct me if I'm wrong, about 8th place. Some of these guys have pitted. I think actually, if I just check, they all have pitted. So this is a run to the flag with these guys.
Okay, and as we have a look now, Craig Jones, Trent's teammate, has just overtaken Trent for the lead. So I wonder if that is a bit of strategy being played out there, guys.
Yeah, well, it looked as though Trent just ran wide at that particular corner. I'm not entirely sure which corner it was, but he just ran wide and ran out on the grass. So whether or not that was a driver mistake or, like you said, a team order, it's up to us to speculate up here, I guess.
That's exactly right. Maybe Trent is, he is struggling out there, so maybe he just asked Craig to take the lead for a bit so he can settle down. Or his tyres are overheated, who knows.
Yeah,
he could be actually using Craig as a reference, so we'll see how this plays out. I think Dylan's obviously, with all this battle that's going on here with Trent and Andrew and Craig, you're probably going to see Dylan jump out a couple of seconds ahead with a bit of a lead here. So we'll see how this plans out once these guys start the pit.
Yeah, definitely. As we rejoin the battle now between Paul Nelson, Martin Kramer and Chris Johnston in the unmetered servers Star Mazda. They're spreading out a little bit, but it's starting, there's a good 2 smaller battles, I guess, forming in this pack at the moment. As we have, who was that just ran wide? The Mad Cow car.
Martin Creamers, I believe, yeah. And he's just gone, actually. That was unfortunate for Martin there. Yeah, just put a wheel on the grass, as I said, and just lost it and looped it into the wall, unfortunately. But Tim's right on Chris now as they're going down into that long back straight that you were talking about earlier, Bernie.
Yeah, as we catch the replay of Martin looping his car. Oh yeah, he hit that wall pretty hard, didn't he? Wow, he's still going around, but that car has had a heavy hit. I'm not sure if he's got any fast repairs left, but oh yeah, he's definitely struggling. I think we'll see Martin in at this lap, guys.
Yeah, he has already had his pit stop, so this will be a time repair if he does take the pits. He's still got 8 laps of the race to go, so it's going to be difficult for him to continue on. Hopefully he hasn't got a mechanical black flag there, otherwise he's going to have to pit. But that car does not look good.
No, not at all. As we jump in with him, we'll have a look. As we can see, Martin's definitely struggling with the steering of that car, which I'm not surprised. Yeah, he's definitely got his left hand down on the wheel, folks, so he is battling with bent steering as well as probably bent rear suspension and wing as he runs wide yet again. He's definitely he's gonna have to pit, guys.
Yeah, talking from experience, these cars are not easy to drive, especially with all that damage you just mentioned there, Bernie. In a track like Brands Hatch, where it is so committed with these blind corners, you need to have that car in straight condition, and unfortunately, he most likely will have to pit. Yeah, due to that damage. That's unfortunate because that was going to shape up to be a awesome three-way battle. Now that Paul's kind of cleared off a few seconds up the road there.
Yeah, the way the car's crabbing, I'm really surprised he hasn't got a meatball. I guess he's got 3 laps to pit that car under a meatball condition, isn't that right? I was going to say, is that right?
I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4 laps, but yeah, it's about that time there. So if he does have that flag, he's gonna have to pit before the end of this race, and that's definitely gonna hurt him.
Yeah, and as we come up to the leader, Craig Jones, look who's behind him, folks. It's Dylan Shepherd now, right on his hammer. So this is 7 laps remaining. This battle for the lead is heating up.
Yeah, just on that, Craig's made a bit of time through the field, or Dylan's lost a bit of time through the field. So these two are going to battle out for the first place honours. Andrew Gaines is there, about 2.5 seconds behind, and then you see Trent. He's really struggling. You're right, Brent. He probably has pushed those tyres too hard in that first stint. So he's probably just going to have to settle down now and just do some consistent times, and I suppose hope that the front guys make a mistake.
Yeah, as these guys battle, the more and more you battle in Stowe Mazda, the slower you become. That's obvious with every car. But yeah, if Trent just pulls some fast, consistent lap times, we might see him back up there on the end of these two for the final couple laps. But it'll take a mammoth effort for him to get up there, that's for sure.
And we've just had a message from Race Control. They have asked Martin Kramer to pit that car. It was too dangerous to continue, so he's in the pits at the moment.
Unfortunate way to end your night, I was trying to say. But you got to give him credit. He pushed really hard, mixing it with some of the fast mid-pack guys in this league, and yeah, he deserves full credit for that effort. Just unfortunate he had that little moment coming out of turn 2, but that's driving, and I'm sure, like with Peter, he'll come back bigger and better next week.
Yeah, that's right, but by the way that car was handling, I think that was the right decision in getting that car to come in. He hasn't retired as yet, but hopefully he'll get it fixed up enough that he can complete this race.
Yeah, we can actually see Dylan Shepherd's. He's actually got past Craig Jones. Craig made a little mistake there, and Dylan's got through. So you see these guys are going to probably battle to the end here, and we have Andrew following behind in 3rd place.
Yeah, so going through our top 5, folks, we've got Dylan Shepherd out in front, followed by Craig Jones. Andrew Gaines is 3.3 seconds down from the current 2. 4th is Trent Thomas, some 10 seconds down from the leaders. And rounding out our top 5, 19 seconds down, is Matt Burgess.
Speaking of Matt Burgess, him and Brendan Howe are really starting to heat up. There's 7 tenths between them, so it's getting closer, and this could very well become a last lap dash between these two for 5th position.
That's right, and I think Matt Burgess is actually streaming this race live from his cockpit. So if he does that next round, I'm definitely going to get his YouTube channel, and we'll see if we can stream some of that action and let you viewers know where to go to have a look. Now, we just had news from the pits. Martin Kramer has retired, so that's very unfortunate for Martin, but his car was beyond repair by the looks of it.
Yeah, next round's actually at Bathurst, so if we get some cockpit view racing next week at Bathurst, that's going to be fantastic.
Oh, definitely, it'd be fantastic to be able to steer the viewers to those cockpit views, and that way, you know, they can have 2 streams running at once if they choose, or they can jump to whichever one they want to. But cockpit around Bathurst, hold on to your horses. Or is that hats? I get confused.
I'm sure either one works, mate.
Yeah. Well, last week I was talking about slippery potatoes when they're meant to be slippery as mud or something. I don't know.
We can forgive you for that one, Bernie, after the marathon streaming effort you put in last week.
Yeah, as we see Dylan and Craig both run wide coming out of turn 1. I tell you what, that's I think that's a bit like going in hard and the guy behind him followed him through.
Yeah, these two are pushing very, very hard. There's still only 0.3 of a second between them, and still 4 laps of the race remaining, so plenty of time in open wheelers for something major to happen. And yeah, it's shaping up to be 4 laps of amazing racing, and we'll soon see who comes out on top, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's right, and that is the battle on the track at the moment, folks. So we're going to stick with these two for these last 3 laps. I tell you what, guys, I'm amazed at some areas of this track, how much they can actually cut the corner or go wide in certain areas. There's quite a lot of runoff they're using.
There is a little bit of leeway. Some of the edges of the actual track isn't counted as an off track, so you can use that part of the track as part of the race, I suppose. You'll probably see that a lot of these guys are really well conditioned in their car. Like, I know we talked about at the start of the race with having 35 incidents, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys wouldn't even hit half of that. Because of those little areas on the track that you can actually run off. So unless you really get into big trouble, these guys won't hit this incident limit.
Yeah, as we saw, Craig Jones ran wide again coming through turn 1, but he's gathered it up, and he's 0.34 of a second behind Dylan at this stage. Lap time comparisons, Dylan is 0.2 of a second faster than Craig on the last lap.
Yeah, but Craig's, like you said, he's only 0.3 of a second off, and that's plenty of room for it to be within that slipstream going down those long straights. So that's also a factor you've got to equate into this too, is those massive slipstreams that these cars can sometimes get.
Well, that's right. You know, 0.3 is nothing considering they're both lapping within 0.2 of each other at this stage, and they're the fastest 2 cars on the track at this time.
These guys are just commencing their final lap now, so it's all on. And Craig runs wide. I think that's going to really hurt him for the rest of this lap, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's the 3rd lap in a row that Craig's run wide through there, so he's definitely pushing as Dylan goes a bit wider than Craig there. So coming into the last lap, folks, we've got Dylan Shepherd in front of Craig Jones, followed by Andrew Gaines, Trent Thomas and Matt Burgess rounds out your top 5.
Speaking of Matt Burgess again, guys, that gap's closed up to only 0.2 of a second as they come through turn 2. So it's well and truly on for the top 5 position, just as I said earlier. So that'll be another good battle to watch once these top 2 cross the line.
Yeah, definitely. We'll jump straight back to that battle once our leaders do cross the line to see how that eventuates. But at the moment, it looks like Dylan Shepherd is in control of this race. But I tell you what, he doesn't want to breathe a sigh of relief yet as they come to the last corner, because Craig Jones is right on his hammer. As they come now through Clark Curve, we've got Dylan Shepherd just in front of Craig Jones. And it looks like this is Dylan Shepherd's race as Dylan takes the checkered flag, followed by Craig Jones, and Andrew Gaines takes 3rd position. Trent Thomas comes home in 4th position. Now Matt Burgess is under pressure at the moment by Brendan Howe, so we'll watch as this unfolds, folks.
Yeah, and Paul Nelson's right behind him as well, so these guys cross the line and they will retain their current positions.
Yeah.
Nah, fantastic. Sorry, Bernie. So fantastic race to the flag there, Bob. Pretty much throughout the top 5. Just awesome racing, and that's the best thing about this particular car is you can have fantastic close racing, and but you got to trust the guys a lot to give you respect, and you got to give them respect on the track, because being an open wheeler, it'll bite really hard if you don't.
Yeah, that's right, and we saw a couple of guys tonight get bitten quite hard when they did get out of shape, so I'll just take you through the field, folks. As I said earlier, Dylan Shepherd for One Performance Racing takes the win, followed by Craig Jones and Gaines Thomas Racing. Andrew Gaines home in 3rd and Trent Thomas in 4th. Tell you what, 2nd, 3rd, 4th for Grant Thomas Racing, that's a fantastic result for those boys. 5th, we've got Matt Burgess, followed by Brendan Howe, closely followed by Paul Nelson. Paul would have to be happy with that result. He did come through the field. I'm not sure where he started, but at one point he was in 11th, so that's a good result. 8th was Timothy Janke, Chris Johnston 9th, 10th was Joshua Anderson. 11th was Rick Burt for RBR Australia. 12th is Andy O'Brien. 13th, Adam Harden, 14th, Peter Jolie for All Star Motorsports. Peter had some difficulty earlier on the race, so it's good to see him finish this event. Stan Peterson 15th, Stan Peterson 14th, Darren Lesu 15th. I'm just going to give up, guys. That was a great race. Okay, it looks like we have the race winner, Dylan Shepherd, waiting to come in the commentary box, so we'll bring him up for a chat. Hi Dylan, welcome to RRTV's commentary booth. I tell you what, that was a fantastic race, and it looked like you were coming under pressure earlier on by Trent until you pitted, but then it looked like Craig was putting you under pressure towards the end of that race. Okay, it looks like we may be having technical difficulties with Dylan at the moment because we can't quite hear him, so he may be having problems with his microphone in TeamSpeak. So guys, what did you think of that race? Brant, Chris?
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a great race. Dylan really showed who's boss, really. You had the Gaines Thomas racing team there taking out 2nd, 3rd and 4th and really pushing for that win through Craig and Trent. Andrew probably had a bit of a safe race, sitting there just sort of picking up the pieces, I suppose. But to finish the race only 6.5 seconds behind the leader, that shows he had the pace throughout the whole race there. I thought it was a great race all around. Good couple of battles throughout the whole race there. Good to see Josh Anderson actually picking up 10th place after his bit of a mishap halfway through the race there. So that was a good return there from Josh Anderson as well.
Fantastic, and we've got Dylan Shepherd back on the line. So Dylan,
Yep.
how did that race go from your perspective? It looked like you were coming under a lot of heavy pressure earlier on in the race by Trent until you pitted.
Yeah, the start was insane. Like, I thought I might have had a bit of a bigger advantage qualifying a few tenths in front, but the slipstream, just as like every other round this season, seemed to be the big thing. So yeah, he was just sticking behind me. I couldn't get him off me, and yeah, it took the smallest little mistake. Didn't even feel like he was making a mistake, and he was right on my tail again. So he kept me pushing hard all race until I made that pit stop.
So was that a strategic stop just to get him off your tail, or was that just planned? You're going to stop anyway.
I think I need to go back to school and learn maths again, because I actually thought that I don't know. I thought I was on the wrong lap or something. I can't remember. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna pit this lap. This is what my strategy was. Pulled in, and then I've looked at my fuel as I came out and I'm going, oh no, I've gone way too early, because I finished with an extra 10 laps of fuel or something like that. But yeah, I thought the earlier I came in, while people are behind me, would be a bigger advantage for me, because I think it was at Suzuka last round. It seemed that being out in front for too long really cost you time, because the people in slipstream really make up time on you, because all they need to do is stick to each other and they just catch up to you.
Yeah, it looked like shortly after your pit, Trent ran into difficulty possibly with tyres, which we'll find out shortly. But later on in the race, Dylan, you had Craig Jones within half a second of you. With those laps counting down, what exactly was going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, before Trent made the mistake and I was just sitting behind Chris, my strategy pretty much from then on was I need to get past Chris, make as much time back on Trent as possible, because I myself lost a bit of time as well, because I forgot to untick tyres as well. But I luckily just unticked them as I was about to do it, so they still jacked my car up. They just never changed the tyres, so it costed me a bit of time as well. So I was pushing to make my time back to Trent, but then he made the mistake, and I was still behind Craig, and he was the leader. So I was just like, well, he's gonna push really hard here, and it's gonna go down to the wire. And then I got a good run onto him out of the first corner. We went into the second corner, and he went for a little bit of a defensive block, I think, and it sent him a little bit wide. And then he tried to block again into the next corner, and yeah, I just did the old switch back on him, and yeah, then he just couldn't get him off my tail, just like Trent. Them G&T cars, they just stick on you. You can't get them off you.
Yeah, so Chris or Brant, did you have any questions for Dylan while we've got him up here?
Were your tyres going off much throughout that race at all, Dylan, with having those battles for the lead at all, or were they just remaining pretty much stock standard throughout the whole entire race?
Yeah, with the Star Mazdas all season, the tyres they don't go off at all. My best lap was actually on the second last lap of the race, when I was just pushing really hard. So yeah, the tyres aren't really making a difference as the race goes on. I'm actually locking up into turn 2. I knew I can get off the brakes whenever my right front tyre was locking up. That was pretty much my marker. So yeah, honestly, I don't think it was making a difference.
Yeah, and Dylan, Chris here, mate. Understand you're a bit of a seasoned driver with the VA supercars. How do you feel driving these Star Mazdas with a fixed setup?
I've been trying to get into the Star Mazda for seasons and seasons now, and when I saw this series up on the forum, I was just like, sweet, this is going to be the best, because I've been racing karts for 10 years, and so has my teammate, Dean O'Brien, and they're such a kart-like car because they've just got so much grip. And yeah, it's hard to find a good league that runs it, especially within Australia. So the guys out there, clean racers, they make me sweat every race, pushing me that hard. So yeah, but the difference from the V8 is, yeah, it's so grippy. Yeah, especially, and the fixed setup makes it easier because you don't have to spend all week getting a setup ready and being under pressure. You can pretty much I did probably about half an hour each night of practice since Monday, and yeah, just learnt the setup and then came in tonight and seemed to be on pace, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think next week, Dylan, we're going to Bathurst in the Star Mazda. Have you driven the Star Mazda around Bathurst? And if so, what exactly is it like?
Bathurst is going to be one of the one of them tracks you just cannot make the smallest mistake, or that's your race over pretty much. So yeah, the person who wins is going to be the person that has a mistake-free race, just like any other race around Bathurst, really. I haven't done too many laps myself, but I have done a few, just run around to see what it's like. And yeah, you can just, going over that hill, all you need to do is hit a ripple strip a little bit too hard and it just sends you into the wall. So yeah.
Okay, Dylan. Well, before we let you go, is there any sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank for tonight's racing?
On behalf of One Performance Racing, we'd just like to thank Custom Image Concepts for supplying our V8 Supercup and other various paints throughout the iRacing service. That's about it. He's pretty much our only sponsor at the moment. So yeah, and just to all the boys, Dean for just helping us each week. We've got 2 new drivers. Hopefully they're starting next week. You got Jared Farrell and Brad Newman. They're hopefully starting at Bathurst in the Star Mazda next week as a second OPR team. And yeah, that's about it. See you next week.
All right, thanks, mate. We'll see you at Bathurst.
Catches.
So that was Dylan Shepherd, folks, the winner of tonight's Star Mazda race. Next person we'll have a chat with is Trent Thomas, who was battling earlier on for the race.
Talk about a tough initiation for the new team, boy oh boy.
Yeah, I reckon. Trent Thomas, welcome to RRTV's commentary box. It looked like as that race progressed, we're not sure if you had tyre trouble or what occurred. So could you tell us exactly what happened during that event?
Yeah, Bernie, thanks for having me. I was actually having screen issues. I've got a new video card put in the computer recently, and for some reason, just halfway through that race, I just started skipping screens. It was really hard. It was actually making me sick. It would be like almost tunnel vision. So once Dylan pitted, that was just my issue. I just could not concentrate anymore at that point. I think Dylan touched on it earlier that these tyres don't really go off. It definitely wasn't a tyre issue. It was just me making mistakes because I didn't have that Dylan ahead of me to be like a guide sort of thing, I guess. Plus, just some screen issues.
Well, I tell you what, considering you had screen issues, bringing your car home in 4th, that is a fantastic achievement, Trent, so well done on that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I actually stuffed up my pit stop. I didn't plan my pit stop at all before the race. Normally I'll work out how much fuel I need and all that sort of stuff, and because in this series tyres are an optional thing in the pit stop, I forgot to untick the tyres, so I spent extra time in the pits that I didn't need to have. So yeah, it was all just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because Dylan touched on the same thing. He said when he jumped in the pits when you were behind him, he thought he was a lap ahead of where he was, so he came in early. But then he also forgot to untick the tyres, and he had to quickly tell the guys as he pitted not to change tyres, so they jacked it up and dropped it again. So I think a few guys have had trouble with that tonight. I tell you what, it's a great result for against Thomas Racing, 2nd, 3rd and 4th tonight, so you must be proud with that, Trent.
Oh, definitely. It's good to see that the three cars up there, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Shame we couldn't get the win. Looks like Craig was pretty close there at the end, but I just couldn't get past Dylan at all. I got a run on him a few times, but yeah, he's definitely a quick peddler.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Craig was taking it to Dylan. He finished 0.453 seconds behind, so he was right up until that last corner. He was in there fighting his heart out, I guess you could say. So I think, as I said, 2nd, 3rd, 4th against Thomas Racing, fantastic result. Next week we're off to Bathurst, Trent. So how do you think you guys are going to perform there?
Hopefully pretty well. I know Andrew absolutely loves Bathurst, so I'm sure he'll excel there. He's starting to get a bit more of a handle on this car. He had been struggling the first couple of rounds, so it's good to see him get a result actually. Really looking forward to Bathurst next week.
Fantastic. Chris or Brant, is there anything you'd like to speak to Trent about, or ask him questions even?
Not that I can think of, other than just to congratulate on second, third, and fourth. That's a brilliant team effort. But look, what was the traffic like coming through it all? Did you hit many back markers or not really?
No, traffic wasn't really an issue, and any that were there, they seemed to move out of the way pretty quickly. So I was pretty fortunate on where I actually happened to catch them, and it was pretty easy to get past. And they were certainly very courteous.
Yeah, Trent, it's Chris here. We touched on during the commentary of the race about the incident limit, having a 35 incident limit. Do you think that was a fair limit, or do you reckon that could even be brought down? I didn't see too many guys having a lot of off tracks, so is that something to maybe consider for next season?
It's definitely something to look at. That's one thing that we're sort of priding ourselves on with this series, is that it's not just mine and it's not just Gaines Thomas Racing that organising this. We want to have a series that everyone wants to participate in. So obviously we can't please anybody, but we want to have feedback from people and ideas and stuff like that might help to make the series better in the future, and the incident limit could be one of those things. My reasoning for making it as high as it was is a lot of championships you'll see base penalties and things like that on the incident limit, and that was something that I didn't want to have in this series.
Yeah, well, having a look at tonight's race, Trent, it's definitely a fantastic series, and with 23 starters tonight, that's a really good turnout. So I'm sure that as more people find out about this series, it's just going to grow from strength to strength. So congratulations on that. Before we let you go, Trent, is there anyone you'd like to thank, any sponsors or people that did your paints jobs or anything like that?
I'd like to thank Monster Designs and Andrew Gaines again. He's our resident painter. We've got two teams in here, and he's done the paints for both of them. So yeah, definitely to him. Matt Wilkins for looking after race control a little bit. He sort of introduced the drivers and all that sort of stuff. He's sort of keeping an eye on things to make sure that everyone is racing as fairly as possible. So. And you guys for putting on this broadcast. I think it's adding a new element to the series, and as you touched on, it's actually a lot more popular than we first imagined it would be. So we're hoping that along with the broadcast, it'll help grow the series once it becomes more aware. Yeah,
definitely. I'm hopeful that the series will grow, and it's my pleasure to broadcast this series along with the others I do. There's a lot of great series out there that deserve a bit of airtime, I think. Matt, fantastic job tonight. From your perspective, how do you think that race went?
I think the race went pretty well overall. There was only just a few people having some off tracks, a few spins here and there that if cars hadn't been there in that spot at the same time could have been really hairy, but luckily all the cars got through some of those spins that people were sitting on the track for a brief second. There was only a few people that Peter, I remember him, he hit the wall at one stage, had a bit of damage, and then Martin told him that he needed to pit because I think he was driving around very slowly and he didn't have much control over the car, so I think he was a danger on track, and I could just see something bad happening and ruining someone's race that wasn't even involved in his incident. But anyway, overall, it was a good race, and I can't wait until next week. I'm sure Bathurst will be a lot more incidents.
Yeah, definitely. So, Chris, final thoughts tonight before we wrap it up. What was tell me what you thought of the race.
Yeah, no, it was a great race. To have those top guys battling for the lead there, pretty much the whole race, from lap one all the way to the last lap, and to have less than half a second as with the race results there. So, top race. Let's do it again next week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to next Thursday at Bathurst. So, Brant, before we go, any final thoughts, mate?
No, yeah, just Trent, you guys have put on a fantastic series. I'm just a little bit sneaky. I can't be a part of it, unfortunately, in the racing, but it's looking like it's going to be an awesome series and just continue to grow in leaps and bounds. So yeah, awesome job.
Well, although you're not driving, I think you've got a couple of guys in there, though, Brant, for All Star Motorsports. So it's great to see your team in there having a crack at this fantastic series. So well done there. Okay, folks, well, we're about to wrap up. For those of you interested in GT3 racing, I will be back with Adrian Jarvis on Sunday night to broadcast the SEK Queensland GT3 series. We're off to Interlagos for a 500-kilometre enduro. Followed by Monday night, we'll be doing the Monday Skippies, which is another fantastic series. If you love Star Mazda and open wheeler racing, definitely check us out on Monday night at 9:15 p.m. And then following Thursday, we are going to Bathurst for the Star Mazda Australian Championship. And I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. So, on behalf of Brant Tucker, Chris Bean, Matt Wilkins, Trent Thomas, I'm Bernie Weemers, and you've been watching RRTV.